Welcome back, Hive Mind. This is Shalzar with Hive Mind Gaming coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to look at Clan Boss Unkillable teams. Alright, so I gotta give credit where credit is due. If you want to hear it from the horse's mouth, as it were, then head on over to Deadwood Jedi's YouTube channel. Give him a like and a sub to thank him for all the hard work he's done and put into this. And then head on over to deadwoodjedi.com where you can find the clan boss calculator where you can actually put in your times for your champions, and you can fine tune it, speed tune it, whatever you need to do to get your champs to where you need them to beat the clan boss. And this will work for any team, not just Unkillable. And then again, he also has a Discord where you can go, and it's a great community there. Shout out to Bobo who helped me. I was having an issue getting this to work, this composition to work, and with just a simple little tweak from Bobo, he helped me land where I needed to land. And I will go ahead and get all of those links in the description for you guys to make it easier for you to go and check all that stuff out. So let's get into it. Alright, so our first champion that we're going to look at is going to be our Maneaters. So we're doing a double Maneater comp. And our first Maneater is going to be this gentleman here. He's at, your first Maneater needs to be at 248 speed. Obviously, I don't have all of his gear where I want it to be, but this is, I like this because this is going to show you how gross Unkillable team can be. He doesn't even have that high of an attack. His crit rate is at only 90%, so I would love to have a higher crit rate. I would love to have a higher crit damage. We don't care about the other stuff. And I would love to have a higher attack value. I don't have the best gear, so keep that in mind. I do have him in an accuracy banner. If I wanted to pump out more damage, I would put him in an attack banner, but I also use him in faction wars, things like that. I have him in crit rate gloves, attack chest, and speed boots to get to that speed that I need him at. And then I do have him in crit damage amulet. Now, keep in mind this Maneater I don't even have fully masteried out. As I get extra resources and extra time, I'll throw him in the Minotaur to grind out more of his masteries. It's important to note that you should only use this as a guide. Depending on what your team composition is going to be, will really dictate what you want to put in your composition for your masteries. Like, for instance, I used Grim Resolve because he's not really going to be at 50% through most of this fight, so, or 50% or above. So that's why we took Grim Resolve, because he's going to be taking a lot of damage and not really healing, because I don't have a healer on the team, obviously. So with this composition, I also have a second Maneater. He is fully masteried out. And only recently, when I first did this composition, this guy had 0 masteries. I just went ahead and bought the bullet and paid for the masteries on this guy. And so you can see where he's a slightly different, because I did his masteries second, and I now knew, at this point, I knew who was going to be the team composition, one of them being Valkyrie. So giving a bigger shield on those, mainly on the first hit, is what we're looking for. So yeah, that's pretty much why I did the masteries the way I did on that one. So as you can tell, compared to the first one, this is why I say you should only use these as guides, because depending on your team composition, it could be different. All right, let's take a look at his stats. So he's got a little better attack. His speed, you want it to be 246. His crit rate's not as high as I want it to be. His crit damage is low as well. So all of these guys I need to tweak a little bit on their equipment, obviously. I mean, look, this one's not even... this one's 10. So all of his gear needs to be worked on, and that is going to help. I mean, maxing out gear, getting better gear is all going to allow you to maximize your damage. Alright, so after the two Maneaters, our next fastest champ is going to be Valkyrie. So your third fastest champ needs to be either 211 or 212. So speed 211 or 212. Our Valkyrie is at 211. Now she's got a pretty good defense, and she's got a horrible crit rate. It needs to be a lot higher. Her crit damage needs to be higher, and we don't care about accuracy or resistance. So we need to work on these two stats for her, and that's going to come with better gear. So one, I mean, heck, that's level 8. Wow. So yeah, so all of this stuff is going to just her damage is just going to get better the more you work on their gear. So very important that you're seeing. I mean, look, she's got 4-star gear on. I mean, it's really it really does show that the Unkillable team is just ridiculous. All right. And let's see, masteries on Valkyrie. This is what I have on her. Keep in mind there are some masteries you don't want. You don't want any of these right here, and you don't want this, because these could all affect turn meter, and that's or turn meter or skill cooldowns. So you don't want that to happen when you're dealing with that, because it could throw your whole run off. So keep that in mind. All right, so our next fastest is going to be Septimus. So when I first built this team and I was running it, I couldn't get it to work. For some reason, I couldn't get it to work. So when I would go to set up my clan boss team, I would look at my two Septimuses and I would see which one had the highest power, and then that's the one I would put in, because obviously the best one has to be the one with the highest power. No, I'm a dummy. So I use these guys in my speed run for Spider. So that's why they're geared the way they are. That's why their stats the way they are. But I obviously pumped up his speed, which obviously affected some of his other stats. But he's got a pretty good attack, really good attack, really. His speed's where I need it to be, and the speed for your last two champions needs to be from 205 to 211, in that range. So keep that in mind when you're building this comp. So he's at 209, so he's going to be less than Valkyrie, but higher than Frozen Banshee. And then his crit damage needs to be a little bit higher, but that's okay too. And then, of course, we want his accuracy to be a little bit higher, so that it's going to force the debuffs to extend. So that is affected by his accuracy. I would like his accuracy to be a little bit higher, more somewhere around the 250 mark, but we'll be okay with the 220. And the masteries for Septimus. This is the masteries we have on Septimus, because we also use them in Spider 20. I put this on there mainly because I know that I use him with or use him in this composition. So that's the only reason why he has that instead of that, which for Spider 20, he would do more damage if that was there. And we want to give him a little more accuracy. That's why we went down this. He does not benefit at all from any of these. So instead of grinding out that extra stuff, there was just no reason to. So that's why we haven't grinded out that last 200, yeah, 200. So our next and final champ is going to be Frozen Banshee. All right, so Frozen Banshee, we've got her attack at 2971. Her speed is at 205, so it's the low end of the spectrum, but where we need it to be. Her crit rate is 101, so it's right where we need it to be. Her crit damage is 125. We need that a little bit higher. And then her accuracy is at 240. I wouldn't mind that being just a little bit higher, but that's all right. 240 is pretty good. For Frozen Banshee, for her masteries, this is what we have for Frozen Banshee for her masteries. Now, Frozen Banshee's equipment and her masteries were all from a previous setup I had for Clan Boss, so I haven't changed that much. The only thing that I did change some gear around a little bit just to get her speed where I needed it to be. So that's why her stats are a little bit wonky, but we're going to continue to work on that to get her up to speed. So with that, again, her gear can use a little bit of tweaking to get a little more damage output from her. So all 5 champions could use a little more tweaking, and by that a whole lot more silver, and they would be pumping out so much more damage. And maybe we'll take a look at it shortly. All right, so let's get into the actual fight here. All right, so what I've got Septimus as my lead, which gives us attack in all battles by 23%. And then we've got our 2 Maneaters, we've got our Valk, and then we've got our Frozen Banshee. As with most fine-tuned teams, there's going to be a small setup with this one. So basically what we want to do on this one, we want to, your first turn, you want to A1 with both Maneaters. And then of course whatever you want to use on your other 3 tunes, because your other 3 champions, because to be honest, it just doesn't matter. So with Valkyrie in the team, that first hit is this is the only hit the first hit is the only hit that will be not protected by Unkillable. Now, all of these champions could take the first hit from the clan boss first turn. Not a big deal. But with Valkyrie in there, it at least gives us a counterattack. That's going to increase our damage as well, the counterattack. Alright, so turn count 1. Your first Maneater, your speed Maneater, is now going to hit his Ancient Blood, which is going to give us protection. Your second Maneater is going to A1 again. And then we're going to use the skills of our other guys. Now, at the end of the first turn, your fast Maneater gets a second turn. And he's just going to A1 because it doesn't matter. Now, turn count 2, your slow Maneater is going to get 2 turns. So his first attack, he's just going to A1. And at this point, you can hit auto. You can absolutely hit auto at this point. Because what's going to happen is these guys are going to take their turn. Your fast Maneater is going to go. She's going to go. And then now your slow Maneater gets his second turn. If you hit auto, it would prioritize this ability anyway, but I just wanted to do it to show it to you so you can see what was going on. And then at this point, we are going to hit auto, because now what's going to happen is every other turn, one of your 2 Maneaters will be placing the Unkillable buff. So, which means that you will be unkillable for the remainder of the time and have block debuffs, so no one's going to get stunned. So at this point, you're good to go. So I'll let it run a couple of turns so you could see it happening. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and stop the video and bring it back at the end so you can see what the final results is going to be. Alright, here we are at turn count 46. We only have about 4 turns left for this to be all over. As you can see, nothing, absolutely nothing has changed from when I left and then restarted. It's exactly the same. The only problem with unkillable teams is there's no real fun in it. It's the fun in unkillable teams is actually trying to come up with a good composition to go with the 2 Maneaters, or the Maneater and Warcaster, or the Maneater and Richard, or whatever unkillable composition you come up with. That's the only fun part when it comes to Maneater, or to unkillable compositions. Okay, so 32 million damage for that run with crappy gear. One of the Maneaters doesn't even have full masteries. Yeah, so what could I do to increase that damage output? One, the most important one, their gear. I can upgrade their gear. Heck, I can just level their gear and upgrade their damage output. I could speed tune Valkyrie, or I can fine tune Valkyrie, and like when you do the setup for Maneater, where you only use his abilities at a certain time during the fight, so you know that he's going to be set up to use his abilities every other turn. You could do the exact same, or I could do the exact same with Valkyrie, to try to ensure that she uses her shield right before the boss does his big hit. That way it can maximize the fact that her shield is up, and most importantly, her counter attack is up when the boss attacks, to maximize the damage so that my guys are attacking back at that point. So that's going to increase our damage output as well, because that's extra damage that's being done. Because if you I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of times where Valk will put up her shield and then it'll fall off before, it'll fall off some of the champs before the clan boss even attacks. So that's something that you can fine tune as well. So, and I'll probably end up doing that just so I can maximize my damage, because currently I'm in three key range. I think with maximizing Valkyrie's shield, increasing equipment, I can easily be within 2 key range with this setup. So other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please hit the like and the subscribe. All of it helps. Make sure you go over to DEADWOOD JEDI if you haven't already, and check him out. He's got a lot of good content, and if it wasn't for that guy and all the work him and his friends have done, this wouldn't have even been possible. So yeah, go give him a shout out. Make sure you tell him thank you, that kind of thing. And I'll see you on a video soon. Bye.